When you have a baby, it is just easy to accumulate a lot of stuff. And if you live in a small apartment like I do, then that just makes it a lot more difficult. So how can you figure out what you actually need versus what you just want and what you can actually fit into your home? So here are some of my tips for living in a small space with a baby, as well as just some registry must-haves that I think are must-haves in a small space. So my first registry must-have is the Pudge P-U-J tub. Now, of course, you don't even really need a tub. You can just bathe them in a sink or you can shower with them, although I guess it would be really slippery like that. But I loved this tub. We originally got the little, the big blooming tub that's like a flower, and it was awful. It was awful to store, and it was just so much bigger than I thought it would be. So we exchanged that for this tub, and it was perfect. It hangs and it also folds up and stores really easily. We even were able to bring it on a vacation because it was so small. So that tub is something I would definitely recommend for a small space. The second thing I would say, and this is not really a registry item, but a tip, is to utilize door and wall space. So if you don't have a lot of space for a dresser or anything, you can buy storage that you can hang on a door. You can also put up shelves and store things that way. We do both. That has been really helpful for us. Another kind of tip and way to store things is storing under furniture. So we even store some things under my son's crib. Now, I don't know how long that'll be until we have to lower the crib, but it is just an option. The next registry must-have is a rolling cart. Now, I love rolling carts now. I think they're amazing. They're great because they have a lot of longevity. It's not gonna just be like a single-use item. You can use it when baby's older. You can use it as a storage cart for cleaning supplies or art supplies or just so many things. And it's really small. It's very affordable, mostly if you wait for a sale. It's also great because you can bring it around with you. I love the rolling cart and highly recommend it for storage if you don't want to get a dresser or anything extra. If you just need a little bit more storage and you're where can I put these things? A rolling cart is for you. The next registry must-have I would recommend, and this is really if you're bottle feeding, which we are doing exclusively formula now, is a small bottle drying rack. Now you might say, why can't I just use a regular drying rack? That's exactly what I said, and that's what we were using for a week, and I quickly realized that it's kind of a necessity if you're bottle drying. Now, you could probably get away with it, but it is just so much more helpful. You don't need to get a huge one, just get a small one, and it's great because if you travel like we do, then you can actually store that small bottle drying rack in your suitcase, and you can use it to dry bottles in the hotel room or your Airbnb. So I love this one from Amazon. My next tip / registry item, I would say skip the bassinet and just get a pack and play or a travel crib. That's what we have right there. It's still in our room, and you really do not need a bassinet. It's nice to have, but it's really just not going to be used very long. And the pack and play and a lot of the travel cribs nowadays also have bassinet portions. So you could just use that. And you might be thinking oh, I need a special one to rock my baby to sleep. I think that you're better off spending money on a sleep training course or just a taking care of babies course rather than spending a lot of money on a bassinet that you're really not going to use very much. And these are great because they also have a lot of uses for them. So you can use it to just put your baby in when they're older, and instead of crawling around the apartment or the home all the time, you can put them in there. They're also great because if you do travel, you're probably gonna need a travel crib. And so we just pack ours up whenever we go somewhere, and it's worked perfectly for us. Honestly, I think that you could even, if you're really tight on space, just totally skip a crib and just use a pack and play. Now, I have a mini crib as well because I wanted the aesthetic, but you could totally get by with just a travel crib. You might be thinking too, like, what if I have a C-section? Don't I need like one of those bassinets that goes right next to my bed? No, you don't really need that. I had a C-section and I actually liked that I had a pack and play that I had to kind of get up and go to in the middle of the night because it forced me to get up. And I feel like it helped my recovery process go a lot faster. After a C-section, it is helpful to get up and walk. My next tip for utilizing a small space is, it's not really a tip, well, it's kind of a tip, but like, you don't need as many clothes or swaddles or blankets as you think you do. We have like a dresser full of clothes for his 3 to 6 months, and honestly, he's not even gonna wear them all. And we kind of just use the same ones over and over. And some clothes are gonna be like special clothes, like nice clothes. He doesn't really wear those often, maybe like once or twice a week. So you could totally get by with just a handful of onesies and make sure that you're doing wash. Same thing goes for swaddles. You don't need like 10 swaddles. I think 2 for each size is helpful because they do, I mean, I was going to try to get by with just one, and then I realized, oh, they might spit up on it or pee in the middle of the night on a swaddle, and it's too late to do laundry. So what is really helpful is to just have an extra one. Another tip I have is just skipping the changing table. You don't need like a separate changing table. You can totally utilize a dresser. And honestly, as baby gets older, which happens so fast, they grow so fast and they gain a lot of weight, it gets kind of cumbersome to bring them to the changing table. We have like a little changer on top of a dresser. And now I'm just starting to change my son on the floor because they just get really heavy. So you could totally even skip like the changer on top of a dresser and just use the floor. You can just put down a blanket or a towel on the floor, and that totally works. My next tip or / registry must have is either just choose a swing or a playmat. And honestly, I would choose a playmat if you are choosing between a swing or a playmat, because a playmat is going to have a lot more longevity and it's a lot easier to store. You can fold it up, whereas a swing, it's not really like flexible, but you do need a space for your baby to hang out. And then if you have a pack and play, you can use that as the space, but it is nice to have like a space on the floor because they're going to start trying to roll over, and they like to hang, like they like all the hanging toys and playing with them. And it's really good for them too because they're like practicing reaching and grabbing and putting things in their mouth. And my last tip is to use vacuum bags. Now, this is great for storage. Now, it kind of sucks because even if you have a small space and you plan to have kids in the future and you need to store things, there's just not a lot of ways to store things in a small place. And it is so helpful to have these vacuum bags to make things smaller. So those are all of my tips and registry must-haves for a small apartment or space. Let me know down below if you guys have any other tips or think that there's a registry item that I missed. So that's it for this video. All of the things that I mentioned will be down below. I'll try to put them down below in the description. So I'll see you guys next video. Bye.